Welcome to SUP Cape Town, home of the finest paddleboarding and SUP-sailing experiences you can get in Africa. My name is Nick Robinson. I'm going to give you a tutorial today for about 10 minutes, giving you a run-through of how to use the SUP sail. First up, if you see how the paddle and the SUP sail are laid out on the board, these are the best practice recommendations. When you're not using your paddle, have the blade end just popped over the front of the board and make sure the elastic straps are holding the paddle in position. The paddle is then at the front and out of your way when you're standing towards the middle and the back of the board. When you're using your paddle, have the SUP sail in the middle of the board with this thing called the crux facing forwards, and ideally use an old leash wrapped around the coloured part of the sail on the central grab handle to keep the sail nice and secured on the board. So this is the SUP sail, the world's fastest folding sail designed to be used with any paddleboard. Now I want you to think for a moment, how quickly do you think I can convert this from a folded sail to a fully functional sail? Just think in seconds. How many seconds? Come up with a number and I'll demonstrate now. Go. There we go. So about 2 or 3 seconds. Now while I've got the sail up, I just want to introduce you to the parts of the sail. And by the way, that maneuver I just did was called the turbo launch. So we have these black rods made of carbon, super light, called boom masts. You've got the two end boom masts, the right and the left, and the center boom mast here. You've got this thing called the crux. This is where the magic happens. Attached to the crux are two mechanisms, a dongle and a couple sets of buttons and a grab handle. The dongle always needs to be pulled in the direction that is away from the grab handle. So if you've rotated the sail like so, you need to pull the dongle that way in order to collapse it. I want you to think again, how quickly can we collapse the sail back down to folded position? Come up with a number and a number of seconds. Go. So probably about 2 or 3 seconds there. So that is a quick intro to the sail itself. What I'd like to do now is talk to you about how to use the sail when you're out on the water. Now the most important thing is your safety when using a SUP sail. And the most important thing you need to be able to do, and do quickly, is to collapse the sail as I've just done. Picture the scene, you're out on the water, suddenly a boat coming towards you hadn't anticipated, or you're about to hit something on the side, and you're having a panic, you can't remember how to use the mechanism. The sail will float. So in that situation, throw the sail away from you, grab your paddle, get back under control again of your paddle board, and then you can paddle back to the SUP sail and fish it out of the water. It floats just on the surface of the water, which is great because it means the wind doesn't grab it and it won't go very far from where you've thrown it. However, I think you're going to be more composed than that. I'm going to show you 3 techniques as to how to collapse the SUP sail. Now the first is the most important to learn, it's the safest way to do it, and it's to collapse the sail when you're sitting down on the paddle board. It also helps slow the paddle board up, as the sail will grab some of the water that you're in and slow the board up as well. So I'll just demonstrate the turbo launch again. So again, you're placing the grab handle against your belly, pulling out both boom handles at the same time, like so. And you find yourself sailing your SUP sail, you're on this board like so, you're sailing away, and you decide that you're going to take the sail down, keeping the crux critically very close to you, lift the sail up in the air, throw it down onto its back on the front of the board. As you lower it at this point, those parts of the sail will probably grab the water, particularly if you're moving at some speed in that direction, and that'll slow up. You can then operate the crux, because it's now close to you, like so, and collapse each of the 2 wings. Fold the sail up, stick it back in its position, grab your paddle, and away you go. So that's your first technique. The second technique is you could be flying your SUP sail in the stage 2 position like so, so you're heading down the wind, and you can just drop each each wing at a time. So if you pull on the mechanism, you need to be holding the boom mast that you are about to drop. So I'm operating the two buttons, I'm lifting slightly my right hand, and as I drop down the boom mast, it goes into its folded position. So again, I'm holding the boom mast. This time I'm going to pull on the dongle, and down the boom mast, down that second wing comes. So that is your second technique. The third technique, and again you can raise each wing at a time like so, in stage 2 position. But the third technique then is if you are in this stage, known as stage 3 or windsurfing position. Again, as I showed right at the beginning, you hold the boom mast you're about to move. So I'm going to move the middle one first. I grab the two buttons from either side, lower it down, grab the second boom mast, then grab the two buttons and lower it down. So you've got 3 methods to drop the subsail. And before you go out, practice 6 times some of those methods, so you've got a real feel of how to operate the crux. Okay, so that's the most important thing, knowing how to stop. I'm now going to talk to you about going left and right and how to sail. Now, I'm assuming you have got no sailing knowledge at all. Forgive me if you are a good sailor and know all the terms of sailing, but for those of you that haven't done any sailing, I just want you to think of the wind as a hill. And you're going to go to the top of the hill, i.e. paddle upwind, and then you're going to sail down the wind, and imagine you're on a bicycle, you're going to roll your bicycle straight down the hill. Now, you know, if you're on a bicycle, you can turn the handlebars to the left and go to the left, and you can turn your handlebars to the right and go to the right. Well, you can do the same thing with a sail to get that left and right control. So first up, stage 1 is just bringing up one of the wings. And I figured out where the wind's coming from. And if you're not used to reading the wind, the best way that I do is I look around to where the wind's coming, where I think the wind's coming from. And when I hear the same amount of sound of the wind blowing over my ears, I know I'm now facing directly into the wind. Mark out a point in the distance, and then you know that the wind is coming from that point in the distance. You may look for flags. They will always flutter in a way pointing downwind as well. So there are lots of signs. You can look at the water. When you see the ripples on the water coming they come perpendicular to the wind, so again you can see where the wind's coming from. So I've now got my subsail. I'm sailing down the wind, and if I pull the sail round to the left, the board should naturally start going round to the right. And what you can do that you can't do with a normal sail is I can lift and rotate by 90 degrees. It's called the aero jibe. And I'm now going to rotate the sail round to the right, and I'll then be able to go round to the left. So I've now got left and right control, and I know how to stop. So I'm in a good place. But I think you want to go a bit faster, and I think you're going to want to bring that second wing up. And at this point, we're in stage 2 position, where I'm resting the sail on the center boom mast of the subsail. Now, a new term for you. This line along here is known as the luff of the sail, and you can think of it as when the wind hits the sail, the luff forces the wind down the sail, and therefore will give you a directional push in that direction. So that's kind of a simple way of thinking about how the luff of the sail helps drive a forward force that you're going to handle in order to get that motion. Now, at the moment, if you are in stage 2 position, that force is sort of pushing you along, driving upwards. You don't really get much directional control. You can only really go straight down the wind. You can move this around a little bit, but you're not really going to get much directional control as part of it. If, though, you rotate to stage 3 or the windsurf position, you've now got the luff forcing the wind that way and therefore pushing you forwards in that direction. So at this point, if I crank the sail back towards me, my little board will want to head closer towards the wind and therefore go round to the right. And if I do 180 degree aero jibe this time, and notice you can do it two ways. You can do the under aero jibe, like so, or you can do the over aero jibe, like so. You've got two different ways of doing that rotation. And if I pull this round to the right, I will then go off to the left. So I've got left and right control now with the full sail. I think though you could still get to stage 4 on your very first go SUP sailing. And stage 4 is where you're feeling strong with your balance. It's a nice flat piece of water, and you hold the sail in the air and you operate a sort of set of S's like so. Driving, you're holding all of the wind, and you're driving the force of the wind through your feet, through the board to drive the board forwards. And that's a great feeling as you're going along. Great, so we've covered off how to stop the paddleboard using the 3 techniques to lower the sail, either lowering it down on the board, doing it from stage 2 or from stage 3. We've talked about left and right control, thinking of the wind as a little hill that you are going to ride down effectively, using your paddle to get upwind as part of it. I'm going to hand you now over to the team at SUP Cape Town. They'll do a great job looking after you, getting you out on the water. Please make sure you practice a few times the collapsing of the sail before you get onto the water. And if you've got any feedback, I'd love to get an email from you from SUP, and if you go to my website, supsail.com. Thank you.